Greetings. This is our Frederick Riddle speaking with another episode of Christian News and Views, episode 2670. And today is Friday, but it's also a special edition. It's in a moment you will be seeing a video that lays out the history and extent of Donald Trump's grand plan. The video is not me; it's another person. Some of you may know him. I have never heard of him before, but I'm going to start following him because this is outstanding. So what I'm going to do is I want to bring this up, and we're going to watch this video. Well, maybe we are. There we go. And we will start it. Where's my sound go? Okay, phone.
If you look real closely at what the United States is doing right now in Iran and around the world, you'll see that there is a broader strategy at work. The demolition of Iran's regime and its nuclear program are just two very crucial pieces on a much larger global chessboard. It involves, number one, controlling the world's most critical waterways and, by extension, the global flow of oil. Right now, the U.S. Navy is blockading the Strait of Hormuz, where some 25% of the world's oil trade passes through every day. Instead of going through the strait, empty oil tankers are now heading to the United States to fill up, and in the process, putting an absolute squeeze on Iran's economy. At the same time, the U.S. Navy is also patrolling another major checkpoint, the Bab al-Mandeb Strait between Yemen and the Horn of Africa, where Iran-backed Houthi terrorists lurk and where some 12% of the world's oil passes through each and every day. And just yesterday, the United States and Indonesia signed a major defense agreement that could enable the U.S. to keep a very close eye on the Strait of Malacca, another critical global trade route between Malaysia and Indonesia, where some 35% of the world's oil flows through. Folks, these three straits, Malacca, Bab al-Mandeb, and Hormuz, are the three most important waterways in the world. And it looks like the United States will now have a very strong presence in all three. This is not by coincidence. President Trump knows exactly what he's doing here. The big loser is communist China. Beijing was already hurting from the loss of its ally Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela, where it gets a large chunk of its oil. And now its friends in Tehran are on the ropes, and the U.S. is blockading the Strait of Hormuz. Since China gets roughly half of its oil from the Middle East, that ain't good for the Chi-Coms. Neither is the U.S.-Indonesia Defense Pact in China's backyard, because a majority of China's energy supplies pass through, you guessed it, the Strait of Malacca. All of this is unfolding as President Trump gets set to visit Beijing next month and meet with Chinese Premier Xi Jinping, as the chess pieces are clearly moving in America's favor. It seems to me that President Trump had a grand vision and strategy all along here, and he always has. Check out this compilation of clips from way back in the 1980s, where the president, then a businessman, talked about Iran.
That this country sits back and allows a country such as Iran to hold our hostages, to my way of thinking, is a horror.
Obviously, you're advocating that we should have gone in there with troops, etc., and brought our boys out.
I absolutely feel that, yes. I don't think there's any question. There's no question in my mind. I think right now would be an oil-rich nation, and I believe that we should have done it, and I'm very disappointed that we didn't do it.
Why couldn't we go in and take over some of their oil, which is along the sea? You're going to have a war by being weak. The next time Iran attacks this country, go in and grab one of their big oil installations, and I mean grab it and keep it, and get back your losses, because this country has lost plenty because of Iran.
Nearly 40 years ago, Trump saying, I'd be harsh on Iran. They've been beating us psychologically, making us look like a bunch of fools. One bullet shot at one of our men or ships, and I'd do a number on Karg Island. I'd go in and take it. Iran can't even beat Iraq. If they push the United States around, it'd be good for the world to take them on.
And now, 40 years later, you're seeing Trump's vision play out in real time. Just as Ronald Reagan spent years before his presidency thinking about how to bring down the Soviet empire, Trump did the same with Iran's terror empire. So the moment of reckoning has arrived for Iran's regime. If you look real closely at what the United States...
Okay, I'll get back to the, I'm going to try to get back. There we go. There we're back. Okay, so what I want to do here is get into my opinion of the whole thing. I have continually said that President Trump has a plan. But this is the first time I have seen that plan laid out so perfectly, so understandably. Now, I can't speak for you, but in my opinion, Trump and his strategists have accomplished something marvelous. Dare I say that God raised up Donald Trump for this purpose? That God moved him to watch and think about Iran since Iran seized our embassy and held people hostage? He and his people have been watching, analyzing, and waiting for this moment. Some people will say he is a genius and give him all the honor and glory, but I say that God raised him up, burdened his heart for America, got him elected 3 times if you count the 2020 election, and then at the exact right time caused him to launch this attack. It's God's hand all over it. Remember, this is not a new war, but us finally responding after some 47 years, the only way the warlords of Iran understand. To understand the impact of this, we are now a top-tier exporter of oil, which impacts both Russia and China. It changes the balance of power. China controls the mineral rights at the moment, but what good are they if you can't run your equipment? Especially, I'm talking about equipment that needs gas, and most of the countries still need a lot of gas, especially China. In effect, Iran has no allies it can rely on now. They suddenly have problems of their own. Now, I'm not a prophet nor a prognosticator, but let me dream a little. I see Iran finally surrendering. That's hard in the first place because I've used the word stupid. The Iranian people themselves are not stupid, but their leaders seem to be stubborn. They are fanatic. And when you're fanatic like that, that does lead to stupidity. I see the people of Iran rising up and saying, enough. Then they take over, and for a time, Iran ceases being the enemy of mankind. They no longer finance terrorism. And for a time, there will be a period of peace. Now, I said period of peace because we know Russia will rearm. We know China will recover, as will Iran. According to the Bible, they will come again, this time unified and seemingly unstoppable. But God. I stop it there, but God, because God's in charge. And God knows exactly what's going to happen, and he knows what he's going to do. Revelation gives us a peek of this. There's the war that's in Ezekiel. We don't know if that's the same war that takes place in Revelation or not. Speculation on both sides of that. We do know that when Russia comes against Israel, it will be a land of unwalled villages. In other words, a land at peace. And so it looks like it's going to be sometime around the period that Revelation talks about. We know it will take place. We just don't know when. Then it could be later on or early on. I think if it takes place in Revelation during the tribulation period, it must be in the very early part of that. remember that the Antichrist is going to come on the scene and sign a 7-year treaty with Israel, guaranteeing their peace. Maybe for exchange for this or that, but it's going to be a guarantee. Israel is going to believe him. Israel is going to look at him as perhaps some people think that they'll look at him as the Messiah. We do call him the Antichrist. Whatever he's called and whatever political position he holds, they're going to trust him. And I see the Iron Dome coming down. I see their army disbanding, maybe not completely, but reducing in size. Same thing with their Navy and their Air Force and all the way around. They're going to be finally at peace with their neighbors. And everybody's going to be celebrating. Economies will flow. A lot of good things are going to come out of that for the first 3.5 years. But then the Antichrist goes in and to the new temple that will have been built by that time, and he pollutes it. And then Israel turns to Christ. They will see the one that they crucified. They will see them as their Messiah. And they will send forth 144,000 witnesses, not Jehovah's Witnesses. They're not going to be there. These are going to be Jews, 144,000 Jews. And by the way, they will now know there'll be 12,000 from each tribe. Right now, they can't tell you who's from what tribe and so forth. And so a lot of things are going to happen. But the thing that what I want you to see is that this is all part of an overall plan. The grand plan of Trump, we're seeing now play out right now. Well, that grand plan of Trump's is actually part of God's grand plan, which is far greater, far more impactful than anything. But that's part of it. And I believe that God raised up President Trump to play a very important role during his presidency. What happens after his presidency, I don't know. Not lengthwise, the United States is going to probably go back to the liberals, and they'll undo everything that has been done, and the United States will end up becoming a third world country. We know the United States is not mentioned in the Bible at all. No hint of it. Well, I'll take that back. You might find a hint. Some people think that, I think it's called the Lions of the West, might refer to them, but it's a lot of conjecture there to be. But the thing is, the United States won't have the power. They will not be on the scene, and they're not mentioned there at all. So I hope this has been helpful to you, clarifying for you as to what's going on. President Trump has also been releasing oil and exporting oil, and our own oil prices, gas prices have been trending downwards. Right now, it just went up a few days ago. Now it's going back down again. So it's a herky-jerky type of thing. But generally speaking, I think it's going to go back, continue to go down. And then once this war or a battle or however you want to describe it winds down, then things will return to normal. For us, normal under Trump means a great economy. So hopefully this has been informative, encouraging, and inspiring. God is in charge, folks. Sit back and watch. Oh, well, no, we need to still be out there working. We still need to be out there sharing the gospel with people so that they can be those who, when the church is raptured, will go as well as us. We won't be here during the tribulation, but so we won't see all that except from heaven's viewpoint. Well, you have a great day. I hope this has been helpful to you. Remember that T&R Independent Books is located at trbookservices.com in the shop, in our bookstore under the department of the writing department there. And we have a writing course. If you don't know how to write, we'll teach you and then publish you. If you have written or are in the process of writing, we'll help edit, prepare your book, and then get you published. We're looking for Christian authors. check us out. You have a great day, and I'll see you in the next episode.